Hi, I'm Darren Miles with Darren Miles Photography, based here in beautiful, sunny, and really humid Naples, Florida. Today we take a look at another one of Nikon's high-quality G-series f1.8 lenses. These lenses have won over consumers and professionals alike, as they are value-priced, high-quality optics with some very notable but livable shortcomings. This is the Nikon 28mm f1.8 G lens, and since my recent conversion to Nikon for my wedding work, this lens has turned into a personal workhorse for me in low-light situations that dominate wedding venues and receptions. Now, is this a worthwhile addition to your kit? Well, let's take a look. Well, first up is build quality. And like the other f1.8 G series lenses, this one too is made out of plastic. It's really lightweight, coming in at just under 12 ounces, making it really well balanced and really easy to handle on a D750 or a D810. Unlike a lot of consumer or prosumer lenses, this one has a rubber gasket on the mount indicating some semblance of weather sealing, but I can't find any specifics referring to weather sealing on any of the sites that I frequent. Speaking of the mount, it's one of the few nice surprises in the build quality, as it's made out of metal. The focus ring is really light and hardly offers any resistance at all. I mean, I hate to say this, but it almost feels kind of cheap. Now, unlike a lot of Canon consumer or prosumer lenses, Nikon actually includes a lens hood. Now, it too is built more like a consumer grade of plastic, but at least it's included and it's functional. The filter thread is 67mm. On the inside, there are 11 elements arranged in 9 groups, and that optical formula includes a nanocrystal coating, which reduces ghosting and interior flare. There's also something called a super integrated coating, which enhances light transmission and color consistency. So says Nikon. Now, there are also 2 spherical lens elements that minimize chroma and other lens aberrations. There are 7 rounded aperture blades, which, with a wide-angle lens like this, smooth bokeh isn't really a specialty. And speaking of the aperture, it ranges from f1.8 to f16. Now, in order to keep prices down, Nikon, as with other G-series lenses, had to sacrifice something. And the build itself isn't necessarily bad. Quite the contrary, it's put together really well, with the exception of the focus ring. But it's the quality of the materials themselves that are obviously lacking, giving the lens's overall plasticky nature. At least as a metal lens mount. But on the whole for build, the 28 gets a 7 out of 10. So next up is AF speed and accuracy. Outfitted with Nikon's latest silent wave autofocus motor, AF speed is really fast and really accurate. Coupled with the fact that this is a wide-angle lens, the elements need not move all that much to achieve accurate focus. The minimum focus distance is also very reasonable, as it's just under 10 inches. That said, let me just demo the AF speed real quick here. I'm going to point around and just shoot to give you an idea as to how fast and accurate it is. Now, I'm starting with it set at infinity, and I'm going to focus on something really close. So here goes. Well, there you go. You get the idea. And you can see from the samples that it's pretty accurate too. Overall, it's fast and accurate, and I really can't find any faults here. So for AF speed and accuracy, the 28 gets a 10 out of 10. So next up is optical quality and the quality of the results. As I mentioned at the outset, since my switch from Canon to Nikon, I've been using the 28mm quite a bit for my wedding work. Before, when I was shooting with Canon, I used to walk into the bridal suite with an 85L and a 35L, but today with Nikon, I walk in with an 85G and the 28G. Given the low-light capabilities of the latest Nikon bodies, I find that f1.8 is more than adequate even in the worst lighting conditions with the latest Nikon bodies, specifically the D750 and the D810. I chose the 28 originally because I read it was slightly better than the 35 1.8, and another photographer I know who also switched to Nikon said it was awesome. Those reasons, and the fact that when I bought the D750, I really couldn't afford the 35 f1.4, so I opted for the 28, and frankly, I'm glad I did. I find the images to be sharp and contrasty, and the conversions to black and white, to my eye, are exceptional and moody and just complement my wedding work beautifully. Field of view wise, the difference between 28 and 35mm to me is kind of nominal. But anyway, how are the optics? Well, at f1.8, I would call the results acceptably sharp. There's also noticeable vignetting and some green color fringing in the out of focus contrast areas. However, by f2, the difference in sharpness is noticeably better, and the vignetting is a little bit better too, but I'm still seeing those green chromatic aberrations. I shoot a lot with this lens at f2, and to my eye, the results are just awesome. However, as with all of my reviews, rather than me telling you about the optical quality, I'd rather just show you the optical quality. The next 2 to 3 minutes will be a series of stills and video clips showcasing the optics of the Nikon 28mm f1.8G lens, and optically, this is an excellent piece of glass. So last up is value, and at just under $697, the 28mm is on the higher side price-wise for the G series f1.8 line of lenses from Nikon. But when compared to the 35mm f1.4, which I have little doubt is an awesome lens, you can buy 3 of these for the price of just one 35 f1.4. Granted, you don't get the great build, there are fewer aperture blades, and again it's f1.4 versus f1.8. But the results are what matters, and in the right hands, I have little doubt that the average client will be able to see much difference between the results these two lenses are capable of producing. I've also spoken to a lot of pros that have switched to the f1.8G line of lenses from Nikon, and they all nearly across the board tell me that there isn't really a big discernible difference in the results. And at the end of the day, that's really all that matters. Oh, these things are also a lot lighter, making them easier to carry around all day, and they're also lighter on the wallet too. So for value, the 28mm f1.8G is a 9.5 out of 10. So to wrap up this review, we gave the Nikon 28mm f1.8G lens a 45 out of 50 and our highly recommended rating. The final word: if you're a wedding shooter, or if you shoot in low light situations frequently, and you need a moderately wide-angle lens, then look no further than the Nikon 28mm f1.8G lens. Sure, it's not without its faults, as the build quality is just mediocre plastic, The optical shortcomings, the vignetting, the chromatic aberrations, etc., they're all fixable with just a few clicks in programs like Lightroom 6. Sure, it's an extra step or two, but you got to keep in mind this lens is also 1/3 the price of the pro-level 35mm f1.4. Now the 28 is not the cheapest G lens, it's actually one of the most expensive, but even with that price, it's still a really excellent price to value relationship. This is Darren Miles with Darren Miles Photography, based here in beautiful, sunny, and humid Naples, Florida. If you like these reviews, please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next time, happy shooting.